The month of April came along, now it's long gone. But when something goes away, something else may come. This is Paleo Monthly. Okay, so first of all, I would like to say two things about this video. One is, yes, it's fairly long, but don't worry, I'm not going to talk your ear off for the entire video. But we have a really cool special feature this month that takes up a lot of time. It is Paleo Penguino, a Rumble on the Rift shoutcaster, who's made an interview with two really cool dudes about esports at a collegiate and university level, so stay tuned for that. Also, yes, this video is really late. We're a good part into May, but yeah, I'm sorry, I've been really swamped, so this video took longer than normal to get done, but it's here now, so let's get into what's been going on in Paleo Gaming this past month. So, unless you're brand new to Paleo Gaming content, you might know by now that these videos are brought to you by the Chirp app, our lovely sponsors, and together with them, Paleo Gaming have put together a brand new prize package. So this is really cool. As you might know, we do giveaways once in a while during events and live streams. For example, the Rumble on the Rift has giveaways now and then. We have the 24-hour stream with full cooperation for Dark Souls 3 a while back. So there are giveaways now and then in Paleo Gaming content and events. And we have set up a new cool prize package for these giveaways. So some of these things that are included in these package are the Paleo Gaming mousepad. We got Paleo Gaming and maybe team sweatshirts, Paleo Gaming and maybe team t-shirts. We got a Paleo Gaming poster, and finally we got a Plantronics Rig 505 Lava Stereo Gaming headset from Plantronics. So really cool stuff that we'll be giving away over the course of this year during different events. Now, do notice that this was released a while back now that I'm recording this video, and depending on when you see this video, some of these prices may already have been given away. So if you want to know what's happening in Paleo Gaming and when cool giveaways and cool events are coming up, do check paleogaming.com regularly. Be sure to follow Paleo Gaming on Twitter and on Twitch, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you're covered. So do keep an eye out for all these cool stuff. And remember, some of it might have been given away already, but definitely not all of it, because we will be giving it away during the course of the entire year of 2016. So check it out. Paleo Gaming has so far this year seen a steady rise on pretty much all of our platforms, on Twitter and on Twitch. We see people coming onto the website. We really like that. One platform that has seen a higher rise, or more speedy rise recently, is our YouTube channel, and that is really nice to see. And I urge you to subscribe to the Paleo Gaming YouTube channel and check out the content there. And during the month of May, we saw the re-release of two video series over at the YouTube channel. So one of them is with me. Yeah, me, John, with my Fnatic and LCS vlog, Felix the Fnatic. And actually, I did some Fnatic vlogs during last year's Worlds, and those videos is actually what got Paleo Gaming to notice me and get me over here. So, just a fun little anecdote there, but those are going again. There are 3 episodes up on YouTube already in Felix the Fnatic, and more to come. And another really cool relaunch that we've been waiting for quite a while actually is that Paleo Ever has relaunched What's Clever with Ever, where he talks about esports with new guests, I think, every episode. So the first episode of the relaunch of What's Clever with Ever is on the Paleo Gaming YouTube, so get over there right now. You're probably already there if you're seeing this, because this is also something that is uploaded on the YouTube channel, but stick around here at the Paleo Gaming YouTube channel and be sure to subscribe and check out all this new cool content that's gonna keep coming on. Coming out? Coming in? I don't know. It's gonna be here. That's what I'm saying. Now let's talk about our League of Legends team. First off, we are relaunching the team that started it all, Paleo Black. So that's really cool. The roster is not announced yet. It will be shortly, but a logo has been made. The social media accounts are set up with new banners, hashtag Black Magic, and yeah, everything is ready to go. So as soon as the roster is finalized and announced, this team is ready to get onto the Rift and show off our Paleo pride. So we're really looking forward to that. Updates will be coming. The second thing to say is that Paleo Gaming is proud to announce that we have gotten our first official head coach for our League of Legends team. Paleo Scoot will take that role. He has previously worked with organizations such as CLG as an analyst. You all know CLG probably as one of the best NALCS teams. The best right now. They won the NALCS for 2 consecutive splits. So that's a really cool organization to have worked with. Not as cool as Paleo Gaming, but, you know, not all that bad. And also he's worked with organizations such as Stratos, Astral Authority, and Evolve Esports. So we're very happy to have Scoot here as a coach. Welcome to you, sir. Okay, so we're getting closer to the special feature of this month with Paleo Penguino, but before that, I'm going to slide something else in here. It's a news that technically was released in May 4th on the website, but since I'm so late with this video, I'm not going to wait with talking about this because this is awesome. Paleo Gaming has gotten official team jerseys for Paleo Tundra, Paleo White, and Paleo Green, and they look awesome. Check this out. So like I said, Paleo Tundra, Paleo White, and Paleo Green have all gotten official team jerseys. They're made by Arma Centrum, and they will not only be available to our players, they will also be in the Paleo shop eventually. If you want to know more right now about how to purchase these awesome uniforms, contact Paleo Creator, our esteemed leader, to get more information about that. And I just have to say once again, these look so good. I want one of each. So I'm saying that right now, Paleo Creator. I want one of each. How many do you want? Okay, so it's about time that I handed over to this month's special video feature with Paleo Penguino and an interview about esports at a collegiate and university level. And the guests for this interview is Shirly, founder over at the KWU's League of Legends program, and Kevin Hoang, who is a founder at the Washington Esports Association and also an analyst for Team Solo Mid in the NALCS. So 2 very cool guests for this topic. The audio is a little choppy in the recording of this interview, but nothing major, and it's a really interesting interview. I watched it twice. I really liked it. So that's all I'm going to say about this video feature, except for enjoy.
So for like the viewers that I'm about to talk to, can y'all give me a little bit of bio about yourselves, like who you are, how old you are, and when did you get started in esports, and what kind of brought you into esports as a whole? So I guess from order of arrival, let's go to Lane, then Kevin.
Okay. Well, I'm 21, and I guess I got into the esports scene at the end of my sophomore year. I really didn't know what esports was. I didn't know it was like a thing until I started seeing like college articles and stuff out. I think we really just got into it because we wanted to. The majority of people that were in our group playing League at the time at college were ex-athletes at the college, so we are just like, well, we still want to compete and be competitive, so we just went to the esports route and started making progress towards our program.
Well, I started playing League around season 2. I started climbing the ladder in season 3. Quickly got to Diamond. I played Han before, and I played a ton of Counter-Strike Source in 1.6. So I was always competitive. So I guess esports, as it was emerging, getting more mainstream, I kind of just tagged along and said this was what I wanted to do. I was From there, I played in a Challenger 5 team. We got to rank 22 in North America with just a bunch of friends. I was hitting Diamond 1 and I was hitting Diamond 1 as a mid laner, and I was thinking like, hey, I could probably do more with this. I've also had some internship experiences going into college. I wanted to translate that into esports. So this is how I got started into Washington esports. This is how I got into coaching the University of Washington and how I became an analyst at TSM. So just all molded together from different experiences, and I've always been a gamer, and it's just been, yeah.
That was a lot cooler than mine.
Oh, no. We somehow you just end up, as long as you're here, doesn't matter
Yeah,
where you
true.
come from. I joined. So what happened with the UW team last year? It wasn't as structured as they would like it to be. So then they started rebranding themselves and started their own organization called Washington Esports. They started in last May, and I joined up in midsummer. So it's still at the early stages. We're still we're still less than 1 year old. So, what was the rest of your question? I forgot.
No,
I said it.
like okay, it would have been. I asked you if helped start it, or if you didn't, it was already alive when you got there. How was the whole, I guess, your experience in esports and gaming and stuff? How was it transitioning them a solid and like structure of guiding them
Okay.
along to make
So
it that far that you've made it so far?
okay. So we had a A and B team. I started off coaching the B team at first. We called it the development team. There were some issues with that team starting out in terms of like the purpose of the team, being that the B team would soon or like compete with the A team for positions. Like if I was a better B team player, I have the chance to like climb into the A team, for example, to replace some people who aren't as committed. But that kind of fell out because the people we sourced in the B team weren't as good or comparable to the A team players, so they would never be replaced to begin with. So that team kind of like lost its purpose, and they didn't qualify in ULOL. So that's one of the reasons why I I transitioned into the A team, was because I wanted to work with better players, and that's when I started putting more structure, and I started becoming the spearhead of the A team and ULOL team for UW.
And Lane, for you, how was it? Like, what did you go through? What kind of hoops did you have to jump? And was it difficult given the obviously, because I can see it in both your is y'all want to do this because it's it's something you love to do. But as far as the desire is there, but the infrastructure, the support in attention garnering to kind of this, how was it hard? Kind of just was it?
I think the hardest part and most frustrating part for us is since majority of our school is athletes, traditional sport athletes, the hardest part was getting people on campus to understand what esports was. And at first we took the approach of we want this to be a varsity athletic on campus, and that was really hard for people to wrap their minds around. They didn't get it, they didn't understand, and that was a battle that we had to go through that was pretty annoying. And I think it helps that our players are current and ex-athletes, so it helps with coaches around campus what it is, and it helps with those students that are still like kind of confused about it when they have like their teammates that are like on the esports team as well, and they're like, oh well, I'm kind of understanding this now. It's not just like people just playing video games and stuff. And as far as that was our hardest part. And then the process was just tons and tons of meetings, a lot of budget plan developments, future developmental plans that we had to fix up. We sponsorship decks. So we did a lot of stuff like that. And then I think one of the hardest parts as well was, going into CSL games and trying to schedule practices when we're all friends. We're all at the same elo. No one is better than anyone else at this point in our group. And so nobody wanted to tell anyone what to do and what they were doing wrong because, it's just a weird spot to put yourselves when you're all friends. So at that point, we suggested to the president of our university, after being approved as a official sport activity, that we needed a coach. And so after some thought, he really agreed with our situation, and he asked if we had any recommendations for a coach. So we recommended someone, and he ended up getting hired, and it's really improved us. So it makes it a lot easier on us not having to tell people what to do, and we respect what he's doing. He takes his job very seriously, and it's having a league coach. Some people might not get it, but it's huge. It helps.
Yeah.
So much. You
can't imagine the egos of high elo players on like a team. There's just so much egos, and when
I can't imagine, dude.
Oh my gosh! I kind of want to ask you guys a little bit more knowledge to kind of independent esports and the amateur scene, especially. What are the major differences in your opinion in both sides, from both perspectives, as an analyst for TSM, as a founder of an organization at collegiate level, and all that? What are the differences in college and indie esports, recruitment, tournaments, rules, and just kind of like itself? Like, if you guys can sum it up in however way you guys feel comfortable in explaining all. And if you need me to repeat, fine. Read back.
For college level, it's not as hardcore because you're taking 12 to 15 credits to be a full-time student. That in itself just takes away all the hours that you would be spending on school, translating that into leagues. So that's like 15 hours a day where these players are scrimming consistently. Second, for collegiate, they recently started a collegiate scrimming Facebook page, so it's been pretty helpful. But before, it was really hard to find decent teams to scrim. Like, it was super hard to schedule like Diamond 1 teams that are in the same time zone as us, because we can only play at like 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. So whereas like with LCS, people are like, they know who their scrim partners are. They're scrimming other LCS teams. They're scrimming other challenger teams then it's very well organized. Whereas players sometimes there's more cancellations with players, less commitment, because there's a spectrum of how much a team can commit to in how much a person can commit to their team. You can have a player that only plays like 1 solo queue game a day or 10 solo queue games a day. There's no one to tell them that, hey, you're not on the team if you don't play this much, unless there's obviously a B team, right? Which is why we had it in the first place. But then again, there wasn't enough talent that were sourced at UW, for example, to put that pressure on them to keep playing solo queue. Whereas in LCS, people are playing solo queue nonstop. They have like 5 accounts in Challenger, for example, or Diamond 1 or Masters or whatever you call it. So at that, in terms of like time sink, it's a little bit more, I would say 20-30% of how much a pro player commits. That helps.
Oh, my turn. Okay. just following up on that, I mean, you can relate really anything from college to professional. I mean, obviously, professionals are going to be working around the clock for their specific whatever they're competing at. Um, the NBA plays 10 months, out of 12. So, I mean, if they're not playing in their regular season, they're always either doing postseason workouts, preseason workouts. I mean, that's the same thing for LCS players. They're doing nonstop spring split, summer split. They have worlds. They have all this stuff that they're constantly working at. They do boot camps in Korea and all this. So, I mean, obviously, college players aren't doing all of that because we are taking credits, and typically people are going to have like part-time jobs and stuff like that. So, um, uh, it's definitely nice to see that the professional scene of League of Legends is taking it as serious as it being.
Hmm.
Uh, it could have taken a whole different route where it was just, it could have been like season one League of Legends LCS where it was just kind of no one really knew about it. But I think since it's being worked on so hard and how much effort's being put into things, that's the reason why there's, 30 million people watching Worlds. It's because people are putting all this time into it. You're going to expect great things. You're going to expect these big plays from big players. People are fans of Bjergsen and Faker, and it's because they're good players and they work their ass off, basically.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I saw the light and I was ready.
Oh, okay, that's trippy. All right, kind of transitioning on that into the infrastructure itself. I kind of want to focus on that. What is the difference, in your opinion, from what you've seen, Kevin, at the TSM house and stuff like that? Their infrastructure and how they set up their kind of their gear, prepping, and like the support that they have, as opposed to the support you get on the college level. Like, does the school provide you with equipment, etc.? Do they give you practice times, coaching, staff, all that stuff? And what is the difference between the independent and then the collegiate infrastructure?
Um, I'm not at the house, so I wouldn't know for sure, but I haven't, I know that they definitely spend a lot more time going through scrims and level, especially like level one tactics. There's a lot more strategy involved and a lot more standardized play when it comes to like lane swaps. There's so much detail
Hmm.
that they play precisely. For example, you have to let one minion survive before you take the turret. Top lane has to mirror they have to mirror the lane swap at like 3:30 is when they get to the top lane and start hitting the turret, and then they take the turret around like 4:30. So it's actually very precise. Another example would be like looking at looking at how a person clears their route.
Hmm.
That's all something that is standardized in the pro scene that hasn't really trickled down to the collegiate scene yet, where we're focused more on like standardized play. I think if you watch CSL games or like ULOL games, they're mostly standardized lanes, and it's very hectic or like less coordinated in that sense because they don't practice like the first 15 minutes as well. Um, so there's a lot of details that are missing. Like when you look at a pro player, everything is very precise. Where you look at a collegiate player, it's sporadic. People do things on their own sometimes, or um, and they don't really go over as much replay. Uh, and it's hard to transition whatever you watch on LCS into the ULOL right now because of how much difference in talent and how much time commitment that a pro player and then a collegiate student has. It's very
How do they approach recruiting? How do you guys go about recruiting? Do you go to leaderboards? Do you guys go to how does that work in college?
you can answer this one first.
Uh, well, it's a little tricky in Kansas. We're not necessarily the most tech savvy state. So, um, as for what we're doing right now, we've been posting on boards. As far as like Reddit, we have the Oklahoma League of Legends group. We have Colorado League of Legends group, Texas. So we've been posting in that. We also have our own online recruiting questionnaire on the Kansas Wesleyan University webpage. So people go to that and they fill that out, just give some information. Um, We also try to make some trips out to high schools. We've done about two of those so far, but towards the end of the year, once things start settling down, we're gonna take some trips to like Kansas City areas. That way we can hit up like maybe four schools at a
Mhm.
time. Um, we're gonna make some trips maybe to Denver. That way we can just get as many schools as we can because we're just trying to outreach. And then, of course, I mean, we have schools around the following states that have students that are looking to play but don't know where to go, and they find us. It's really cool. We've actually found about three students that are interested in our program from the ULOL page. They found our little marker on the Kansas spot, so that's pretty cool that it's actually working and doing some good for the collegiate scene. But I don't know. I'm sure recruiting's a lot different out where Kevin's at, so I'll let him take this one too.
So far we're I'm not sure yet because I'm not sure how they recruited last time because I was I got to Washington Esports after they already finalized their team. I think with this year after Heroes of the Dorm and ULaw dying down, I think I'm working with them on recruitment. I think so far we have like a Google Doc that we post into our PCM as Purple Caster Minion. It's our League of Legends student group. I think we got around like 10 people applying, and they just had to answer some questions like, "What are your strengths and weaknesses as a player? What tilt or like some random stuff, you know, and like their elo, and then we're gonna like pull in together. We're gonna probably like try them out, you know. I think we have like a in 2 weeks we're trying all of them out for their roles and stuff. That's what we have so far. We're probably gonna do more outreach on campus by tabling and just like whoever comes by, tell them about watching esports. Like you don't even have to play for a team. You can just like do social media for with us, or you can do events for watching esports, like things like that. It's just more on campus recruitment. It's like any other campus recruitment, except it's for video games.
So from what it's like, it's more of a club activity.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's definitely a club right now. We're working on getting that pushed into the school for next year. I think if we were to do that, we look at first programs as like a way to recruitment. There's just a bunch of things that go out in an email
Mhm.
for first year students, and then we would like a spot in their email blasts, in their email campaigns on like what to do on campus. Those are some things that we could do.
Okay. Here's a curveball for you guys. I was talking to one of our creative development teams, and then the topic came up about how do we create a amateur scene kind of involves college and independent esports, kind of like we want to theoretically craft a structure that the NCAA football to the NFL, like college to pro, or have a recruitment pool that is recognized by the pro organizations and owners to kind of start planning and creating a solid foundation for
Right.
that. So, how, in both of your opinions, do we reconcile both college and independent because there's such talent on both ends? Some people don't go to college at all because they want to go to esports. Others go to esports colleges that offer scholarships. So how do we kind of work that both into the same scene
Mhm.
and create that recruitment?
So there's an overlap right now with the current pro LCS, LCK, all those things. They take in players from like 18 or 17 to like I think the oldest would be like 24, 23. So that time that you're pro is when you should be in college. Either you move college out after or bring college down to like 12 to 16 because that makes no sense right now because there's the overlap. So that's a really good question. You can either um, because with the like the NBA and baseball and stuff, those you can still play at your prime from like 23 to like 35 or
Mhm.
33. And it's not the same with the esports. So I actually don't have a solid answer for that other than I can identify the problem in that area with the age overlap. Um, you could either merge it, like you can incentivize Riot or build like you can incentivize Riot and the pro teams to be like, hey, this is our national competition, the NCAA of League of Legends. These are the best players. You can watch them play at the highest of levels. Because if you before I mentioned how collegiate games is a little bit more sloppy, and that's not a good place to recruit talent. Because I think only like two or three ULOL winners became a pro LCS player.
Mm.
But I think as again with like people taking initiative, like UC Irvine, KYU, with RMU, people will start getting because right now people will start getting better at the game, way better at the game. You're having coaches, you're having analysts at the college level a lot of the work in developing these NA talent, right? But right now, the only source of NA talent is to source from like Challenger Series team, which is dead right now because there's no more rank fives. The other would be like either you try out on your own or third you're like in Challenger solo queue. But that's not a people. And again, many people said like Challenger solo queue is not sometimes the best way to recruit people because of you they don't have teamwork, they can't communicate or these things. You can use college and high school as a platform to train these things. You know, you can for UW we have a lot of Diamond One Master players. That in itself, but at the same time, if they spent 3 or 4 years playing on the pro team at UW, for example, that can transition to hey, out of college you have 2 or 3 years of team play that no one else has versus an amateur team or versus like an ex-challenger team or a current challenger player who plays like 1,000 games a year, like maining 2 or 3 champions, how that person operates from just you can only because elo the LP is just like it's just a number. It doesn't tell you all the other factors that comes into play when it comes to becoming a team player. With this you can add references, awards, like you can be like hey most valuable in the ULOL or like NCAA League of Legends series. You can have the finals, and then the coaches and the pro teams can watch and observe how this collegiate scene has evolved, and if they're good enough to even to say, hey, this guy is really good. We watched him play over the course of the year. Let's draft him.
I mean,
That
that's
makes
hard to follow up on. I was gonna say the same thing about the overlapping thing. That's a really hard thing to come about. You never see any pro esports players above the age of 25. And that's typically when people are graduating as 23ish. So, you can guarantee them those 2 years of team play, and I just think obviously the collegiate scene is getting bigger and bigger as the years go by. And honestly, I think within the next 10 years, it's going to be to the point of we're going to have conferences, like conference plays. Like just like NCAA has, the Big Ten, Big 12,
SEC,
yeah, all that. I honestly believe that's what it's going to be like. And, when that comes, I think there's also going to be more pro teams. There's going to be an east side of pro teams. There's going to be a west side of pro teams, and with that, there's going to come scouts, and with scouts, there's going to be more involvement with college. So, I just think as time goes by, the collegiate scene and the pro scene are just going to clash together even better now, and it's just going to open those doors for more college players to get out and attempt to become professional players.
And do you feel that this whole structure mishap, or like whatever you want to call it, this chaos of raw talent just flip-flopping from playing on a team that they made with their friend to joining an amateur team independently that's like a Supernova or something like that, to thinking about getting a scholarship for League of Legends, is just happening in NA as opposed to like EU where they have a lot better support and it's a little bit more culturally accepted to be a professional gamer, and especially in Korea, the beast that is Korea, where they have camps, schools, just independent gaming houses where you can sign up and they take you in. Like the whole culture, government, and populace and companies support that there. That's why it's so efficient and so well. But do you think that this whole problem is just an NA problem, where the infrastructure is just the stigma of being a gamer? The idea that the populace gets is like lazy, good-for-nothing kids who just want to play to live, Is that kind of hurting us here in NA specifically?
Um,
Uh,
I think it was really badly. I think uh, America especially has put a really bad negative stereotype on gamers
Hmm.
in the past years, but I think with all this media and all this, with the media is definitely helping us out, and I think it's helping us out especially when like you have big spokesmen and famous people like Shaquille O'Neal who are investing in teams like Energy and stuff like that. People are, you know, they're really influenced by people with such power like Shaquille O'Neal. And if
Hmm.
they see that he's investing, they're like, oh, maybe this isn't such a bad thing. And it really makes them consider gamers not just these people that just sit in this chair and waste their life away and play games all day, you know. But I think, again, as time goes by, the negative stereotypes are slowly fading away. I mean, I've heard more positivity from people that I've grown up with about gamers, and um, just I've just seen more positive feedback on gaming and taking it as a college sport and a professional career now. So
Hmm.
yeah, I'm gonna have to piggyback off. It's actually a cool thing to be a gamer now. Like it's
yeah,
okay to say you play League of Legends. Like it's a social bonding like thing. Like,
Hmm.
hey, do you play League? And they say yes, and you have something to talk about instantly. Instantly,
Hmm.
you have so many things to talk about. When people talk about like
absolutely.
fail flash, only League players know like how funny that could be, you know. So and like people say team mode, people like get angry or things. So you can connect with people emotionally easily, like right now. Whereas like people who don't game, there's it's just small talk or like when
Hmm.
I talk to like non-gamer friends that don't connect with people, I think when they don't play games, and they lose connection with people that are living farther away, especially in college, where people are going at school out of state, like playing League and like other online games, like it helps so much with keeping that friendship. And I think we're breaking down the social barriers very fast
Hmm.
with all these new players coming in, like Rick Fox and Shaq, A-Rod, and I think Alibaba recently invested
Hmm.
into the World Cyber Series or something. So I mean,
Hmm.
like with all this new money, like they can't really stop or like keep stop. They can't really say, "Hey, gaming's for like losers" or whatever, because look at where all the money is going right now.
True.
So it's like you.
And it right now it's a multi-billion-dollar industry and it's a global industry.
Hmm.
So
Hmm. I don't see it dying down anytime soon.
Yeah, like I mean, like three
what I
years
meant.
ago, people were saying like, "Oh, do you think it'll last that long? Are you sure? Do you want to get into it?" Then it's like, wait, Yahoo just opened, and Yahoo's trying to stay competitive in this market by opening esports series. They just hired Travis or something. Like, there's all these moves that companies are doing, and I think it's when companies come in, it's just gonna bloom even faster.
Hmm.
Problems in the collegiate scene.
People not thinking that it's a real sport is a pretty big problem in my books.
The whole like sports argument, I think it's a waste of time talking about it because um I you don't have to call it a sport or you don't have to think it's a sport. At the end of the day, it's you're putting 15 hours into it and companies and the production level is going to match that and it's going to be a global phenomenon that it already is and we don't have to spend time arguing between it's a sport or not because I personally I think it's sport. It's mainstream. There's audience. There's live stream. There's like big tournament. There's like it's a competitive. Um, that element is there. It's an esport. It's 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 its own beast, man. With collegiate schools need to listen to their students. If you're out there and you're faculty and I don't know if they're watching, but like if you're a faculty member and students are coming to you with like a plan and proposal, kind of, I think people need to listen more instead of people always this is not just the faculty, just in general, like people already have their own people make up their minds too fast. For example, um I thought Twitch was a shitty champion for in like season 4 or something, and like SKT blew my mind the way they use Twitch. So I mean, that's just an example.
Um, I can't. Well, I mean, I agree with that completely. I've just been fortunate enough to not have had that happen to us, where we've had people not listen to us. We've fortunately had the opportunity of being able to speak with admin on campus that are really open to the idea of this, and they see a good potential of bringing on a new side of students on campus for esports. So I think it would be a huge problem, and I've experienced that with things other than esports, I suppose. Um, but yeah, I could see where people would just kind of shut the door on others just because they still have that stereotypical you're idea in their head. So they're like, well, you're just a gamer, man. I don't have time to do what you want to do. Um, but yeah, I would agree with that.
Any advice to those watching or those who will be listening later on, kind of your parting words of if they want to start pursuing their esports dreams, and give them the harsh truth, like don't hold back, don't throw any punches. So what kind of advice would you give people wanting to get into this industry, whether that be players, owners, shoutcasters, etc., just getting into it as a whole?
Volunteer. Um, Again, esports is not a you're not going to be making $20 an hour right off the bat. You're not going to be paid for your time doing social media for a startup team. If you're hungry enough and you want to work in esports, you have to you have to pay your dues by like, you have to start out small. And by small, you can't expect to get into like the top organizations. I have people reaching out to me and like, hey, how do you get into TSM or something? Well, I started small. I started playing League and I got good at it. You have to put in the hours to be if you want to become a shoutcaster, you have to keep practicing. You have to do things at your local college or your high school. Build a community around something. Do something in your local area to make your experience people around you, and then you can go and say, "Hey, I learned these things," and then let it resonate with you and have people give you feedback. And then you can move on after like a year of experience. You can then go on and say, "Hey, what's next? Do I aim for TSM now? Do I aim for Fnatic now? Or no? Do you want to work for Razer? Do you want to work for some other, or do you want to work for Twitch?" It's like you have to really want it. You have to really want it, and a lot of the times you're going to be doing a lot of work that you're going to be up all the night, all the time. You might be watching extra VODs. You might be, it's all love. I mean, like everyone in the industry is passionate, but you have to be really smart about where you want to put your efforts. I mean, you're going to be also, my other harsh truth is you'll be running into a lot of passionate people, but a lot of people won't deliver because a lot of people are saying, I want to get into esports, but they have no experience. Well, that's everybody. It's just what you make of it.
If you are going to be applying for any esports jobs or internships, and you think that you are the best candidate out there, just realize there's about 400,000 more people that are applying for that same job as you. So that gives you that much more knowledge of how much harder you need to work at this. Like if you think that you're the best candidate out there, just think you're not the best candidate out there anymore. That you just need to work that much harder to become the best candidate out there. So I mean, it's not going to be easy. That's for sure. So it's a really competitive market.
For me, it's don't go applying for Riot and tell them that you love League of Legends so much that you want to work for them. That's like everyone knows that. Everyone at Riot knows that you love League of Legends. That's why you're applying in the first place. You have to start developing your work skills and your career path. Even though like you might not work in esports now, but if you want to, if there's an internship or opportunity available for you right now to work at some firm or some company or some startup, that that could be like Microsoft, it could be like Amazon or something, take it. You know, you're gonna learn something regardless, and then you can apply it to esports in the future. Even though esports is young and like whatever, and like there's already a lot of people that are in it right now, and you feel like you're not there yet, you should opportunities that you think could be translatable to um like a lot of people pass up opportunities because it's not Riot yet, or because it's not Blizzard, or because it's not one of the top brands, you know?
Yeah, like just follow up a little bit about that is that you know, I applied for an internship with Riot this summer as a collegiate intern, and although I didn't get it, I still had 2 interviews with them, and I learned more than I could have ever learned from looking up stuff on the internet or like researching on my own. You know, you if you don't take the opportunity or like the chances of just applying and you know, it sucks that I didn't get the job, obviously, but it's like the information that I learned and the experience I got just from interviewing with a company as big as Riot is more valuable than anything I for. So you really just gotta go out there and just try and you know take the risk of getting shot down. But I mean, even if you do, you're gonna learn so much more about yourself.